What's going on? Hope this finds you well. Thanks for joining the channel here, the Life and Transitions Experts Podcast. I'm Courtney Rollins, the host. If you listen to this on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you hear your content, I really appreciate that. It would definitely appreciate it as after you listen that you give me a review. That would be awesome. We're really trying to improve so that we can improve the quality of service we share with folks here at the Life and Transitions Experts Podcast. Focus on those transitions in people's lives. Focus on people who are helping folks through those big transitions, such as dealing with a probate or the death of someone and having to probate the estate that's left behind. Or if someone, which also can be included, if someone's needs to find they have a transition in their life where they need to sell a property and they need options that are viable. That's another way that we are able to help and provide service. So here we talk everything about probate, North Carolina. I am the probate expert in Durham County, which means that I don't know everything. It means I'm dedicated to the process. Disclaimer, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm sharing my experience going to the courthouse 2-3 times a week, speaking to family attorneys, helping people through the probate process, and helping people come up with viable solutions for their property and their stuff. And so I'm sharing that with you. And a lot of the question I get asked quite often is, okay, Courtney, you say we should avoid probate because it's expensive. I wasn't able to avoid it because of just different factors. What am I expecting to pay? How much will it be? And that's what we're going to discuss today. What are the costs and what impacts the cost? And have a new computer here. Yeah, it's working. Let's see. All right, present mode. So how much will probate cost and where can I get the money to complete it? So probate, again, is the legal process of settling the affairs of someone who's passed away. If you die with, if passed away with things in your name, either their assets, which are generating income, or liabilities, which is pulling income, there has to be a legal way for someone to deal with it, and that is probate. Even if you have a will in North Carolina, it has to go through probate. And there are legal remedies that allow you to avoid aspects or avoid probate, but you have to make sure that's happened obviously before you um, before that transition, before you die. The personal representative is the person that's responsible for taking care of all of this. It's a fiduciary responsibility. It can be taxing, it can be long, it can be pretty expensive, it can be pretty confusing. And that's why I definitely recommend you check with the family attorney. If you need one, connect with us and we will make sure you find one that fits your budget, your style, and your needs. So some of the factors that impact cost of probate is how large, how small, how complex is the estate? Are there joint accounts? Are there different are there like tons of heirs that are long lost and need to be found? Or what's the complication? Obviously, the larger and the more complicated the estate, the more expensive it is going to be. Because quite often, one of the ways that if you do work with an attorney, one of the ways the attorneys structure their payment structures, one way could be a percentage of the value of the estate. And they have to do that to protect themselves if they make a mistake on $100,000 property or a $500,000 property, or the liability, or they're working hard on that. There's complications to that. So they're held liable and they're working hard. So there's a reason why the more complicated, the larger the estate, the more they're going to have to do and the more they're going to request in compensation. As well as the probate court. When you're filings are usually based off of the entire gross, not net, but gross amount that the state's worth. So if you have a $500,000 property in the estate, but it owes 400,000, so it's really only 100,000, they're still going to base it off the 500,000, how much they're charging you. So you need to make it can be pretty expensive. Another factor is, again, how many heirs are contesting the estate? Is there anyone who's contesting the trust? Well, he could contest the trust, but contesting the will or contesting how things are managed. That's going to impact litigation. Attorneys, again, and other filing fees will come into play. Also, was there an estate plan set up beforehand prior to death? Is there a living trust that allows you to avoid many aspects of the probate process? Go check out what a living trust is. Check out what a revocable trust. Check out what a irrevocable trust is. Check out what the trust instrument is and see how and if that can be applied to your life and to your assets to help avoid much of this, the cost, the time, and the pain and anguish. And again, if there are attorney involved, we definitely encourage you to work with an attorney, but an attorney will impact, of course, the cost. So those are the things that will impact how large, how big, how complicated is your estate. Is it being contested, and do you have an attorney involved? And so some of the things are filing fees. The court filing fees is what's you're definitely going to need to pay when there's inventory. You're going to pay filing fee. Usually in I know in North Carolina, you calculate the filing fee by taking the inventory, the total amount, and multiply by 0.004. That's how much the filing fee is going to be for the inventory. When you do the final accounting, they will also factor it in based on the account. So the size of the estate. So each time you go in, the filing fees is based on the size of the estate. If there is a bond that's required for the executor or administrator, which is quite often required by the North Carolina County courts, and however, most wills will say that the bond's not required. But if the bond's required, that's a cost. Again, we said attorney fees if you're using an attorney. A personal representative compensation. You work hard as a personal representative, and you can be compensated based on North Carolina fees, but it can't exceed more than 5% of the estate. But that is a factor. So those are some of the costs. And if you're paying any other professional vendors, such as a moving company or an assessor or a placement agent, those are different vendors that you may need to help close out the estate. And again, that's going to factor in. A lot of people don't think about the time cost. I've mentioned it a couple times here, but it's expensive. It takes your time. It takes your mental space as well. So time is a cost that has to be factored in, as well as the emotional cost. Now it's just an emotional cost. Losing someone is never easy, and dealing with the estate is a constant reminder of the fact that someone has left, and it can be emotionally draining, especially when you're dealing with other family members and other folks who may or may not be as supportive as they can be. So it's those are definitely things to think about. And if you're looking for support, not just with the probate side, but maybe the house and the stuff, or maybe you need a financial advisor, or perhaps you need some type of support to help transition or move the surviving spouse to a new place, or this person who's left behind to a new place, reach out to Estate Pro Service. We set up a free consultation. We get on Zoom or get on the phone and figure out what your situation is and see how we may best serve you. Okay, so I hope you found this of value. Would love again for your like or subscribe. If you're following YouTube, would love for you to go ahead and hit that subscribe on YouTube as well. And oh my gosh, I hope that was showing. At any rate, I'm gonna check it out. I hope I did not mess up my live stream, because I don't see anything up here. Either way, brothers and sisters, might have to do this podcast again, but I hope it's helpful to you. Well, we'll rock and roll. Life in transition expert. Let your light shine.